Coming up on ACC Network, Micaiah Gray and the Miami Hurricanes looking to get a win over the visiting NC State Wolfpack. That's up next.
Welcome into the ACC Network studios. We're about 10 minutes from tip-off as Elisa Cunane and NC State try to get back on track after losing the last two. Number 10 NC State now on the road against Miami, coming up 8 Eastern time right here on ACC Network. Meanwhile, welcome into the studios alongside Kelly Gramlich, Monica McNutt. I'm Kelsey Riggs. How about Jakia Brown-Turner warming up for NC State, getting ready to take on Miami. We will see if they are able to get back on track, and feels kind of important right now for NC State. Nobody expected them to be in this position right now where they came into this game losing the last two. Miami coming off of a win against Clemson. Kelly, what do you make of this NC State team right now, and how badly do they need to get back on track right now?
This game is pivotal, okay? If they want to accomplish their goals, if they want to host the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament, if they want to be the 2 seed in the ACC tournament, this is a must-win. If you want to accomplish those goals, it's not a must-win to make the NCAA tournament, but if they want to hold themselves to their standard that they've built, they have to win this game, and Elisa Cunane has to play well inside against those bigs.
Monica gave you a smile at the end there, but for a little while, that she was like looking at you, judging you. I felt like she was disagreeing.
I wasn't judging. I agree, okay. Kelly. Don't let Kelsey. You know I got you. You know I got you. I agree, and I think
see how it's going to play out.
As much as it is about NC State holding on to their expectations for themselves, it's also about Duke nipping at their heels, literally. I mean, this is a Duke team that's very hot right now. They've won, I believe, 6 out of their last 7. Excuse me. They can't afford to slip up, not just because they can't, but because Duke is coming for that spot.
And we get a rematch of those two teams
It's gonna be a
later
good one.
in the season.
And how about Miami fighting to get out of the bottom 4 as we get ready for the ACC tournament?
You're just fighting for wins to get some momentum heading into next year and not finish in the bottom 4, like you said.
All right, so number 10, NC State, getting ready to take on Miami. We will see if the Pack able to stop that 2-game losing streak right now. We will get you out to LaChina Robinson and Jen Hildreth. They are on the call for tonight's game.
We've got your nightcap on ACC Network from the Watsco Center in Coral Gables as the 10th-ranked NC State Wolfpack look to snap a 2-game skid in the home of the Hurricanes. NC State now looking up at the Louisville Cardinals after falling from the top spot in the conference. And in a tough season for Miami, the Hurricanes looking to finish strong as they head toward the ACC tournament. Jen Hildreth, LaChina Robinson, back together again. Happy to have you with us. And NC State, a team LaChina that through its first 23 games had just 1 loss, but now here they sit, having lost their last 2 at home against Louisville and Georgia Tech. What is going on with the Wolfpack?
Well, every team in the country wants to be playing their best down the stretch of the regular season. But for NC State fans, it's not time to panic. This is very fixable. If you look at the numbers over the last 2 games, the number one concern is 3-point shooting. NC State had 8 3-pointers in their last 2. They average 8 per game, and that, to me, all centers around Aislinn Koenig. Now, once they start hitting threes, it loosens up things on the interior for Elisa Cunane. She only had 8 field goal attempts in their last game, 5 turnovers, and last but not least, the standard that we heard them talking about in studio. Defense is what NC State does best. They have not been up to par in those last 2 losses. They have to get back on track tonight against Miami.
You mentioned the 3-point shooting. NC State the best in the conference from beyond the arc for the season. However, in the last 2 games, Miami has actually shot the ball better from downtown.
Yeah, we're seeing a change in this Miami team, one that was very focused offensively on the interior with Beatrice Montpremier, but with her out yet another game, it will be about their 3-point shooting. 26 made 3-pointers over their last 2 games at a 46% clip. That is impressive. The Wolfpack will have to get out and guard the 3-point line.
Miami would sure like another effort like that on their home floor tonight. Miami wearing white, NC State in red as we tip it up. And the Hurricanes take control. Karen Piatto, Thomas Danaher, Mark Resch are officials this evening. India Banks try to get things started for Miami. Missed the shot, grabbed her own rebound, but turned it over to NC State. Brown-Turner thought about it, shuffled her feet, gives it right back to Miami.
Well, two things to keep your eyes on to start this game. Number one, Miami offensively wants to set the pick and rolls very quickly. Defense for NC State on pick and rolls has been their staple. They're trying to get back to cleaner play in that way, but watch Miami and how they try to use those pick and rolls very quickly like that.
There's the three for Micaiah Gray, a player who has been at her best the last few games for the Hurricanes.
And one thing to keep your eye on offensively for NC State is transition. Wes Moore talked to us today about them pushing pace, getting easier baskets, but a lot of their transition will start with their defense.
Lisa Canane did not want to take that shot initially, passed it back out. Certainly be keeping an eye on her play in the paint. 3 on the shot clock now. Kai Crutchfield has to take it. Banks really been working the glass early. Micaiah Gray hit that first three. She and Kelsey Marshall, the two biggest three-point threats for this Miami team. Brianna Jackson, the player, the freshman who's had to come in and try to take the place on the interior for Montpelier. And let's not leave out Destiny Harden, okay? Not necessarily one of the top three-point shooters from Miami, but she's getting in the groove.
Offense is contagious, and it could be a good trend and a bad trend. For Miami, it's been very good in this stretch. So the three-pointer is falling for basically everyone in their lineup.
Kayla Jones, a big offensive board for NC State, but then had her shot blocked. Brianna Jackson affecting that play, and now Micaiah Gray speeds down the other way, had it taken out of her hands.
One of the challenges for Miami in league play has been rebounding. They have a negative rebound margin. You can understand that without Beatrice Montpelier, but against the NC State team that likes to defend and rebound, Miami will have to get on the glass. Great defense there by Gray, but watch the pick and roll situation there. You see how Canane comes up, but she doesn't come all the way out to guard Gray, and that leaves enough space and opportunity. If you don't play that right, they're going to try to get those shots up quickly and faster than NC State would like.
I'm not sure I've ever heard a coach talk more about screens than Wes Moore did today at shoot-around, both on how they're going to defend them and then in how they use them offensively.
It's a really important part of NC State's defense and how they guard pick and roll, and he also understands that they need better shots than they have gotten in their last 2 games, so they got to set screens.
Canane's first shot is a 3. It misses, but Crutchfield with the rebound.
Another offensive rebound, and those are the kind of moments Miami has to minimize because it gives NC State momentum and another chance at the basket.
NC State top 5 in the conference in a number of categories as Brown-Turner hits a 3, including a three-point percentage and rebound margin. All 9 points in our game so far coming from beyond the arc.
I'm okay with the raining threes in here today, Jen. We got plenty of sunshine.
We did. Gorgeous day today in Coral Gables. 6 on the shot clock for Gray, trying to find a way through that NC State defense. Banks had it blocked. NC State wanting to run, but Miami did a good job of getting back quickly. Now Canane on the inside.
I thought Canane may have gotten fouled on that take, but notice not a hard double by Miami on Canane right now. They're going to play her straight up.
And it's been an uncharacteristic Elisa Canane in the last 2 losses for NC State. She's gotten points, average 13.5, but not in a typical way. She's dominated throughout most of the season on the inside.
Miami being very patient, moving the ball around, trying to find the seams against NC State.
Kelsey Marshall, nothing but net. Let the threes keep raining at the Watsco Center.
And And that allows Miami to pick up in their defense full court, which was relatively effective in their win at Clemson. They like to speed the game up. They're good at getting steals.
Double dribble as the struggles continue for Canaan. If you know Katie Meyer, you might have heard some Meyerisms like the idiot circle. She'll explain when we come back.
Rebounding arc, even before that arc was here, the block charge arc, we've always had it on our court even before it was a rule. We call it the idiot circle. And because if we pause film, and if you in film are going for rebound and you're standing inside the circle, well, being unkind, you're an idiot, because the only rebound that you'll get is a made shot. So we want to get it outside of the idiot circle. So that's another Meyerism.
I love the way that she describes things, and it makes sense, doesn't it?
I could listen to Katie Meyer talk basketball all day. She has her own vocabulary. Her team gets it. After you're sitting around listening, you start to get it. She talks about the umbrella. Points per possession is something she talks a lot about. I mean, but come on, who wants to be in the idiot circle?
No, I
Not
do
me. No rebounds in there, Jen.
Haven't been that many to get on this end of the floor for Miami to start things off. There's one. They were 3 of 5 from 3 before that attempt from Gray. Meanwhile, NC State 1 of 8 to start this game. So if you have questions coming in, I imagine they still remain. I mean, this is a top 10 team in the country, one of the best teams in the ACC, and they look out of sorts.
They're playing a little fast right now, right? Miami is a team that thrives on playing fast. They want to speed you up. And going into that last break, we saw Wes Moore pull Elisa Canaan aside and said, slow down, take your time, basically just settle in, because you don't want to play at Miami's pace. NC State is better when they're methodical and intentional.
Marshall trying to use the shot fake. Koenig not biting. Ball booted out of bounds. It'll stay with Miami. 13 on the shot clock. Wes Moore just named to the late season watch list for the Naismith Coach of the Year. He and Jeff Walls both amongst the final 15 candidates.
Very deserving for Wes Moore. I mean, what his team has been through the last few years with injuries and, you know, just various obstacles. It's amazing the success he's had. Every season he's won 20 or more games with the exception of one. And this year has proven to be his historical one so far.
14-0 start for the Wolfpack, their best record through 23 games when they were 22-1.
Neither team is really getting good shots right now or executing.
Kia Brown-Turner, who's been so good as a freshman this year for NC State, drains her second three.
In normal situations, a freshman may be the player you're more concerned about being shaken after 2 losses, but we haven't seen Brown-Turner shaken very many times at all this year.
Harden will try the three. Who needs a 2-point shot in this game? I'm gonna just take all threes at least so far. Brown-Turner's hit a couple, wants to pass off to Canaan, who goes strong toward the basket and does draw the foul.
Really good 2-man game there with Brown-Turner and Canaan, but right here in transition, NC State wants to get shots up quickly when they can. I mean, there's a difference between playing fast and getting shots up early in the clock. And you don't want to speed up your game, but West does want to play in transition.
Canaan, one of the best free throw shooters in the ACC, and she has used that line to her advantage here lately in these last couple of losses. I mentioned she's still averaging 13.5 points per game. However, look how she's getting her points. Just 22% of them from 2-point field goals, 22% of them from 3-point. That's a far greater margin than normal from 3. 56% of her points from the free throw line.
Well, we talked to Wes Moore and also Elisa Canaan today, and you know, one thing that was true with both of them is how defenses are really, really packing it in on her, making it hard for her to catch it in the paint. She's had to stretch the floor some, even to just get shots. She only had 8 attempts against Georgia Tech, but she did make it to the free throw line. But NC State's going to open up their offense to create space for them.
NC State playing some great defense. They nearly had a shot clock violation a couple of possessions ago from Miami. They do get it that time.
Now, Miami was lucky to make some contested threes early in this game, but they can't settle for the jump shot. They have got to find a way to use the drive to open up their offense. But you're right, Jen. NC State has played impeccable defense for much of this first quarter.
That's one of the things Katie Meyer talked to us about at shoot-around today, too, that the way NC State plays defense very different than the last few opponents that Miami has faced.
And that will be open. It's to slip. If you can slip the screen and surprise the defense, you can find some layups on the backside. So a very good read and a very good option.
Jackson with her first points in the game.
Now here's the slip of the screen right here. So you come up here, Jackson, you pretend like you're gonna set the screen. So Kanane is already out playing ball screen defense, and Jackson is slipping, and most of the time she's gonna have a smaller defender and help on the backside, so she can just rise up and hit that shot.
Those were her first points, as I mentioned, but she's played big on both ends of the floor here so far, and gonna have something looked at as she heads toward the back, gets on the exercise bike. Taylor Mason coming into the game for Miami. Marshall way off on that attempt. Mason nearly had the rebound.
And Roby is going to come in the game as well. The good thing for Katie Meyer is she has some depth, not experience, but some depth with size to put on Kanane and tire her out.
The friendly bounce as Brown Turner now has 9. Tamir Houston also off the bench for the Hurricanes. Tried to split the defense there. A foul is called against the Wolfpack.
But I like that by Houston. Put the ball on the deck and force NC State to guard you off the drive. And that's something that I thought Georgia Tech did really well. I mean, they shot a lot of mid-range jump shots. They just really executed in that space, but they weren't afraid to challenge the Wolfpack off the bounce.
Now the Wolfpack's hottest scorer in this game, Brown Turner, who has 9 points, goes to the bench with 2 personal fouls. Kayla Ely into the game. Final minute of the first quarter. Gray stops and pops. Rebound goes to Crutchfield. Quick glance over the shoulder. Time running out for the Wolfpack here, trying to get something before the quarter ends, and they will not do it, but they have managed to tie the game at 11. When we come back, we're going to show you some of the special skills off the court of Kai Crutchfield.
So here are just some doodles that I draw. I'm trying to get into lettering now. I have been doing graffiti, but lettering is something that I've kind of wanted to just put in my toolbox. So yeah, this is just like, all these describe me. This one I had crazy hair day, so I kind of put that into like a, you know, cartoon thing. This one, my brother probably did something and I got mad, so I just drew, you know, a little angry monster.
I like the little monster.
Yeah, well, you know how little brothers are. Get on your nerves, you know.
Well, she mentioned that she does graffiti art. That's more what she's been known for, and she actually made some for all of her teammates. I'll give you a look at some of those, see if you can determine who they are. Can you tell that one, LaChana? Who does that one look like to you?
That looks like Taylor Jones.
Yes.
Only because I saw the number.
All right, yeah, I know. It's kind of. All right, how about this
Brown
one?
Turner.
There you go. Boom, 2 for 2.
Ace.
Hey.
Aislinn.
Don't mess with Ace.
Kanane. Yay.
4 for 4, LaChana Robinson.
Thank you. You know, how about my A game tonight?
See which of these teams can try to gain an advantage. Marshall, after a hot start where Miami led 6-0. Shot hasn't looked quite as strong.
I'm not sure why Kelsey Marshall hesitated on that shot. I don't know if it was that she didn't have her footing. She still has that bandaged right hand or fingers that were giving her some trouble. But since she put up, what, 25 a couple games ago, we can't claim that anymore, Jen.
Yeah. She still has pain in that broken finger. She told us today every time she catches and every time she shoots, it hurts. But I'm with you. You put up 25 points, you're good.
Yeah.
I think you're playing through pain just fine.
At Virginia. And Miami needs Marshall. To me, she is just as important as Micaiah Gray, because her consistency with Beatrice Montpremier out, those are the two players that were double-figure scores and understood that responsibility. And boy, with the turnover here.
6 turnovers so far for NC State. Taylor Mason bringing the ball up the floor, coming off a great game. Season high 12 points. Went 4 of 4 from 3 in that win on the road at Clemson. Crutchfield gets it to Canane. A fake, and she drives, and more often than not, she does take a lot of contact in there, but these last couple of games, when she has driven to the basket, she's gone to the free throw line.
Yeah, nice aggressive move here. First the ball fake, which sets it up, but then takes the contact. She's got the height advantage on the interior. And she did note today that, you know, teams have been beating her up. You know, we asked her about the physicality on the interior, and she said, I've only got 5 fouls, and most teams are putting their 3 post players on me, which means they have 15. And she is getting to the free throw line, but you got to think that it starts to wear on you over the course of the game when everyone is being physical. And it started with Janelle Bailey. I mean, that's when the scouting report was out early in conference play on Canane, that you could kind of be physical with her.
And as Wes Moore said, he said, yeah, she's getting beat up, but there are things she can do better as well. She has to adjust. Gray, the fadeaway is good.
And those are the kind of teams that usually give NC State some trouble offensively, is those that can create their own shot. And Georgia Tech did a nice job of that in their win. What a move there by Canane, showing her mobility.
Her first field goal of the game. She now has 5. Mason.
Miami has gotten a little happy with the outside shot.
Koenig still looking for her first points. 0 of 7 from 3 in these last 2 losses for the Wolfpack. 2 of 12 overall. She only took 3 field goal attempts in that last game against Georgia Tech. Mason tried to get rid of the basketball, but 3-second violation will turn it over.
Well, one way that Alicia Canane can avoid some of the physicality is right here. Take 1 step off of the block. That way, the defense doesn't have a chance to come and double. She uses the baseline so well. Nice footwork. I like that move for her. And I think that's one of the adjustments that she can make. We've seen her knock down the 3, but step 1 step outside the lane and create some space for your move.
She is just a sophomore. You forget sometimes. Still a lot of learning to be done. Nice drive to the basket by Jada Boyd, who as a freshman has been a really bright spot for this Wolfpack off the bench.
Yeah, West told you and I back when they played Florida State that he had to find more minutes for Boyd because she's so talented. And you see how hard she is to guard off the bounce with her quickness.
Travel by Jackson. 2 straight turnovers for the Hurricanes on this end of the floor. Miami started 3 of 5 from 3. They're 0 of 6 since. So you do begin to question some of that shot selection a bit if you're Katie Meyer.
Wishing that you had Beatrice Montpremier to kind of just get it to in the middle to settle things down a little. So what will be Miami's settle down offense? I think they've got to try to use the drive, get to the free throw line. right there. You got to attack that high hedge and turn the corner.
That is Milena Siribaba, a freshman out of Sweden, who adds to the three-point party.
That's a good sign for Miami and for Siribaba because she had played really well early on in her freshman campaign, but then got injured at Georgia Tech. It just has not been the same.
Hunter out to Kanane. Marshall looked inside for a moment. Jackson pretty much smothered up by Kanane.
Yeah, better job of guarding the attempt at the slip there by NC State.
Siribaba will try it again. Why not?
Miami was having a shooting contest and shoot-around, and multiple players had hit three-pointers in a row, but then Siribaba got up and she missed hers. Well, she didn't miss those last two.
Drive, but a travel.
And now we're seeing the freshman, the 6-foot freshman, Siribaba, just spotting up. And what NC State is doing is they're packing it in, not allowing the drive. And so for them to close out, they've got to come quite a ways out of the paint. And Siribaba is a player that you would close out slowly on because she's not a great three-point shooter by percentage, only 20% on the season.
And she had really struggled in conference play on many of her field goal attempts. You mentioned that injury really did shake her up and throw her off what had been a pretty good rhythm prior to that.
I like that Miami is moving the ball around. They're being patient, showing good energy here.
Well, that was the message from Katie Meyer at shoot around. She said, let them know you're here, Miami. Look them in the eye, make things hard for them. Play with some heart out here on your home floor. Tennille Hobby, 6'1" freshman out of Jacksonville, Florida, on for the Wolfpack.
Nice job on the driving, guarding the drive by Miami, but you gotta get that rebound.
Both of these teams will play a decent number of players. Hobby, stumbling and bubbling, keeps it in. 6 seconds, the dish from Ely is a beauty.
Wes Moore said he wanted to see more toughness from his team. Well, that was a toughness possession, not giving up.
And a better look at how this state team can share the basketball now. Can Koenig get a couple easy points in transition? Yes, she can.
Nakia Gray getting a little bit of a breather right now on the bench for Miami. So they're relying on Marshall and Banks, Mason to get some good looks on this end. Good denial by NC State. They are making Miami work for every catch.
Marshall, just a bit short on that attempt.
NC State looking to get back on track on the road. Their senior, Aislinn Koenig, with some defense to easy offense. Welcome back to Miami, where NC State has a 3-point lead over the Hurricanes, but the three-pointers continue to fall for Miami, coming off of 26 three-pointers in their last 2 games. Well, they are getting it going from long range, shooting 36%. Keeping in mind they are without Beatrice Montpremier for yet another game. So the retooling of this offense by Katie Meyer has been impressive as she has empowered her guards, in particular her juniors. You see a freshman there, Siribaba, but to find their offense from the outside. And when you're hitting the three, it can be contagious, and it's been that way for Miami over the last few games.
Hit a stretch where they had a drought from 3, but then Siribaba came off the bench and changed that.
The question is always, when you're hitting threes, can you be disciplined enough to know when, how to get those threes, who should be shooting them?
NC State at the moment with no Kanane on the floor, no Koenig. Banks drives and is fouled.
And again, I think this is an option for Miami as well, especially after hitting some threes to try to get into the paint. And Ely gets over late, never establishes legal defensive position. So that's a good call, and Banks will go to the free throw line.
Banks, junior from Duluth, Georgia. 63% free throw shooter on the season. Our next Thursday night women's basketball doubleheader on ACC Network and the ESPN app features the top 2 teams in the conference. First, number 5 Louisville hosting Boston College. That's at 6 Eastern. Then Syracuse taking on this NC State Wolfpack. Top 2 teams in the ACC standings. Both of those games and every game as we head down the stretch. So big in ACC women's basketball.
I would not want to play Syracuse right now. I would not want to play Duke right now. I would not want to play Boston College if I'm Louisville. Teams that are picking up steam at the right time. Heck, Georgia Tech, big win against NC State, and then gave Louisville a run for their money tonight. So some great hoops down the stretch of the regular season in the ACC.
Syracuse won 5 in a row now. Banks too strong on that attempt.
And that's a makeable shot for Banks, and that's one that she's a player that has to be an offensive threat.
Hunter. How big was Grace Hunter in that comeback win for NC State against Duke a few weeks ago? They'll have the rematch of that game coming up. Big Monday. It's a couple too many steps with the basketball not on the floor.
And you can tell that Elena City Baba is feeling better. Just her activity, her movement, her confidence. She's looked like a different player starting with shoot-around earlier today than we've seen, Jen. And for a freshman, an injury can set you back. And again, since that game at Georgia Tech, she's just not been herself, but we're seeing a different player early in this game.
Miami on a drought, though, over 4 minutes without a field goal. Still down just 2 with under a minute to play in the first half.
Man, I'm a little surprised that Micaiah Gray has been on the bench. It seems like a long time. Maybe it's just me, but longer than I would think Katie Meyer would want at this point in the game.
These 2 teams tied at 11 wins apiece in the series, but Miami has been really good at home. They've won 7 straight on their home floor. Wes Moore has never won here with the Wolfpack. Kanane poked that one out of bounds. It'll stay with Miami. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Jackson got over the shot block attempt of Kanane.
I mean, despite that drought, Jen, this is a tie ball game. So maybe you do get Micaiah Gray a couple of extra minutes to rest on the bench. Because NC State has not been able to capitalize with her on the pond.
Tried to find Koenig curling around the back door, but Miami kept it shut, and we will indeed be tied as we go to the break. Our crew in the studio will have you covered for the halftime report. So now let's send it to the ladies in the studio.
Welcome into the ACC Network studios alongside Kelly Gramlich and Monica McNutt. I am Kelsey Riggs. Ladies, when you look at what happened here in the first half between NC State and Miami, what we expected so far to see, Kelly, I think, from NC State.
Well, NC State looks better. Kanane still isn't playing very well. She didn't play as much in that first half, only has 5 points. But when it comes to Miami, they are so much better at home than they are on the road. That's most teams, but Miami's splits are really drastic. They play a lot better at home. Their guards look pretty good today, which their guards have to play well because they don't have Beatrice Montpremier, and they've hit 5 threes, which is a really good sign for the Canes.
NC State just looks frazzled to me. They do not look settled. They do not look like the confident team that we saw as the ACC conference play got underway. I'm a little concerned. I don't think this is a team that is in any type of jeopardy when we talk about tournaments and big pictures, but this is an opportunity for them to really kind of reclaim their identity. When you look at matchups, when Alyssa Cunane has struggled, it's been because teams have a big that can match up with her, whether it be Janelle Bailey, Lareja Kubai, or Kylie Shook. In this case, Miami does not have a seasoned big. Brianna Jackson is a freshman. She's been doing a decent job so far in this basketball game, but NC State really has to settle down. And I don't want to take anything away from Miami. You're right, they do play better at home. But this is a team that has struggled. And for NC State, for this ballgame to be as close as it is right now, I take more issue with that on the behalf of the Wolfpack than I do the Hurricanes.
Look, she's right. I was being a little nice about it, but Monica's exactly
we both
right.
were being nice about it.
NC State has to be better. If they're going to represent the ACC, possibly make an Elite Eight, a Sweet 16, whatever it is, Final Four, that was one of their goals, they have to be more consistent, and Cunane has to play better inside.
22-22 right now at the half. And as you mentioned, Miami really good at home this year, 11-5 at home. So we will see after this game between NC State and Miami right now. Ace Koenig with just 4 in the first half. Game tied at the break. And meanwhile, NC State and Miami going head-to-head, tied right now. Guys, what do you want to see from this game in the second half?
Oh, man. NC State needs to settle down. Now, we're here to be neutral. If if Miami's going to pull off the win at home, they're far better when they get out in transition and start hitting threes, especially Micaiah Gray. But NC State, to me, they just need to settle down and use Cunane. She has the advantage in this.
She has to get back on the floor and get involved and be physical inside.
2 straight losses right now for NC State heading into this game, and it is tied at the break, 22-22. Let's get you back out to Jen Hildreth and LaChina Robinson with the second half.
Back in Miami with the score tied at 22 between the 10th-ranked NC State Wolfpack and the Hurricanes. Jen Hildreth, LaChina Robinson. We've seen Miami grind out some of these types of games before, but for NC State, well below their average. If there were concerns coming in, I think Wes Moore probably still has a few.
Yeah, and as far as that grind out, that's definitely going Miami's way this first half, as these two teams have only scored 44 points. So what do their coaches want to see at halftime? More offense. How can that happen for NC State? We saw Brown Turner get it going from the outside. Elisa Cunane has to assert herself like this offensively. 1 for 4 in that first half, but she did get to the free throw line. And for Miami, their three-point shooting continues to be the bright spot, but they cannot fall in love with it. I think the Canes have to find a way to use their speed and quickness in the open court and get to the free throw line, as they have only shot 2 free throws in the first half of this game. They are too quick and too fast and can get NC State on their heels defensively if they're a little more assertive off the bounce.
As Wes Moore told his team at shoot-around today, at this point in the season, everybody has something to play for. NC State, one of the top teams in the ACC. They're currently in that top 16 in the NCAA's first reveal. That means they get a chance to host the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament. They've got that to play for. And Miami, you never know, any team gets hot heading into the ACC tournament. Who knows what can happen in Greensboro? Especially if an elusive preseason ACC Player of the Year perhaps makes her return for the Hurricanes.
Still day to day. Just don't know. There may be a Montpelier sighting, Jen.
Could be. Foul on the floor against the Hurricanes. We'll go against Kelsey Marshall, her first. Crutchfield, 0 for 5 in the first half, but a good start to the second half for Cunane.
Good deep seal on the interior, 2 feet in the paint. Single coverage, that's easy for Cunane.
Banks had it blocked. And then Jackson took it away, and Banks just keeping at it, drew the foul from Cunane.
Lisa Cunane on that last offensive possession sets a screen and then sets herself up in the paint, gets a low position, bends those knees, shows numbers, Nice little baby hook over the shoulder. If Miami is going to play Canaan with single coverage, NC State's got to make a pay. You got to go to her every time until they bring another defender, and she has to hit shots from that close in.
I thought it was very interesting watching that last game for NC State against Georgia Tech and noting that Elisa Canaan stayed on the bench for the final 6 minutes and 40 seconds of that game. And you're just wondering, you know, is it partly due to just some ineffectiveness on her part, or Wes Moore saying after the game he just really liked the way the team on the floor was playing?
Yeah, well, he felt like a nice take there by Micaiah Gray, who got some good time on the pine in the first half, sat for just about 7 minutes, so she should have some energy. But, you know, Wes Moore said those are the decisions that keep him up at 5:30 in the morning. But he wanted to speed the game up. That's why they went small. And Jones has just been off tonight. But, you know, you make those decisions, and they did get back into the game with her on the bench.
They did.
And you never know what could have been, but you got to go with your instinct in that situation, and Wolfpack never totally recovered. Seems like whenever NC State really starts to move the ball, Brown Turner is the beneficiary, and she gets the backdoor cut against pressure. She just never stops working and moving, and it's impressive to see a freshman that works between the touches.
She might have glimpsed that freshman wall and just leapt right over it.
Yeah, what freshman wall, right?
Exactly. Couple of turnovers plaguing the Hurricanes their first couple possessions.
And they had done a nice job in the first half. They had 19 or more turnovers in each of their last 5 games, and only 7 in the first half. So that clip was moving in their favor. They've got to get back on the roll here.
NC State turns it over. The Wolfpack uncharacteristically in double digits already in terms of giving the ball to the other team, and Marshall going strong to the basket.
And that is what Miami must do. You see how quickly they went from defense to offense, how they use that speed, that tenacity, attack the rim. They're going to go to the free throw line. They need more of that.
Not only does it give them a little oomph, but it also can get some players for NC State in foul trouble. That was a third personal on Brown Turner. Saturday afternoon, we'll be in Raleigh for number 8, Florida State, taking on NC State at 4 Eastern. That's the men's basketball right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Noles have won 4 of the last 5 against the Wolfpack, but how about NC State? They may come in there hot after that big win at home, rushing the floor last night, taking down 6th-ranked Duke.
I am a big Leonard Hamilton fan. I mean, what a job he has done quietly at Florida State. Has an amazing staff, recruits well, always fun teams to play.
It's hammer time down there.
Fun players to watch down at Florida State.
Gray went all the way to the basket, and then Canaan was able to hang on to it, keep it for NC State. Micaiah Gray, as you mentioned, did sit for a stretch in that first half. She had a game earlier this month at Virginia Tech where she went 0 of 9. Since then, though, in the last 3, she's averaged over 19 points per game, shot 40% from the floor, and she came out in this one looking aggressive. Brown Turner hits another 3. That's her 4th of the game. She has 14.
And that's beautiful basketball. Touches the paint, and Canaan gets the pass out. Miami was slow on the recovery.
Crutchfield looking inside to Jones. Canaan waiting for it. Can knock down that 3. Banks hands it off to Harden, and Canaan just stood her ground. Gray, the ACC leader in steals, adds another to a tally, a couple points to go with it.
Katie Meyer knew something we did not in that first half. She was saving Micaiah Gray's legs for a run in this second half, and she has looked very energetic, especially on the defensive end. We did not see the typical Miami defense getting steals, getting out in the run in that first half.
Foul foul on the floor will stop things for a moment.
Nice ball movement by NC State here. The ball goes into Kanane. I'd like to see her drop step and dunk that, but the other alternative is the kick out to a wide open Brown Turner. And then Micaiah Gray, as you said, Jen, #1 in the ACC in steals, active. You can never get complacent when she's around and have to make sure you use your ball fakes when she's in the vicinity.
Kanane somehow got free on the inbounds there for an easy 2. 9 now for Kanane, who leads this NC State team in scoring, rebounding, field goal percentage, and free throws. Harden adds a 3 for Miami.
A lot of the threes that Miami has hit have been contested or on defense, at least closing out. I'm not saying they're running them off the three-point line, but I've seen the Canes make some threes with a hand in their face tonight.
Koenig will try to do so for NC State. She's still cold. Taylor Mason. Harden tried it on the other side. How about this side? The West Virginia transfer adding a punch.
And she was not a factor in their win over Clemson. Nice bounce back game for her.
You can see Koenig trying to assert herself, get herself into the offense, something she could not do against Georgia Tech in the last game, but just haven't been able to hit.
She does not have a lot of lift in that shot.
Mason saw a lane, took it, and was fouled.
Destiny Harden giving Miami a punch from three-point land. A little high five from coach. Wait, I think I got another one in me. Harden off the baseline, splash. Welcome back to Miami, where the Canes have a 3-point lead on the #10 team in the country, and coach is liking it. The team is into it. Destiny Harden hits back-to-back three-pointers to give her team a punch. And the confidence for Miami starting to really mount here to start this third quarter. Micaiah Gray's getting in defensively on some steals. They're hitting shots. And NC State just not looking like themselves.
I think this is so impressive for Miami because, look, this is a team that's been disappointed with this year. They've been to the postseason 10 straight years, 8 of those to the NCAA tournament. They thought they'd have Beatrice Montpremier for much more of this season than they did. You tell that team over there that there's nothing to play for because that's not what it looks like to them.
Well, the one thing about this Miami team is I thought earlier in the season they got frustrated without Montpremier, and there were times where I felt like they quit. And there has been all fight in this team down the stretch. Every game determined to get better. People like Taylor Mason coming off of the bench, Jackson as a freshman contributing, City Baba as a freshman. I mean, this is a Miami team that's very young once you peel below that layer of juniors. And Katie's done a nice job. It may not show up in the record, but this team has been maximized considering what they lost.
Now can NC State bring a little bit of that fire? Brown Turner's been the only Wolfpack player to hit a 3. She was 4 for 4 before that miss. And Harden, she is still feeling it. It is a 10-0 Miami run, and she has 9 of those points.
Harden is such a tough guard because she's 6 foot, but she is strong. I mean, plays low to the ground, versatile, can hit outside, can drive. How many times did we see Miami get those kind of open opportunities off of their defense or rebounding? Not a lot in the first half.
Ties the largest lead for the Hurricanes since it was 6-0. That was an offensive foul. The second personal on Kanane.
Miami is playing like a team that has nothing to lose, and NC State is playing like a team that's back on their heels. And great job by Harden to get there. And I believe Kanane received the ball outside of the lower defensive box. You have to look at that because the restricted area is supposed to be out of play if she receives it in the LDB. But nonetheless, Canane did lower that shoulder, so it may have been a straight-up offensive foul call.
Miss Energy at it again for Miami. I gave her one extra point the last time. She now has 13. It's an 11-0 Miami run, and Westmore needs a timeout.
NC State determined to get their defense together. Well, not tonight. Destiny Harden with all the offense you need, and the Canes are rolling.
My, oh my, there is concern over on that Wolfpack bench. You wondered, I asked you right at the beginning, what is going on with NC State? Because their numbers in their last 2 games, dismal, much worse than what they have been producing. And their numbers so far tonight, worse.
The one thing that we've appreciated about NC State over time is just how balanced they are emotionally as a team, how they stay so even. But you got to have another gear right now because you've become the team with the bullseye on your back that everyone wants to beat. And Miami has nothing to lose, really. I mean, this is a Miami team that, you know, is looking at an uphill battle in terms of any NCAA tournament chances. And so they're having fun. And they're celebrating each other. And this looks like an NC State team that's not playing relaxed.
Yeah, I would agree. And right now, you wonder who's that Destiny Harden type player for them that's gonna bring some emotion, bring some fire, pull everybody together. You mentioned how even keeled they are, but who's that player? Well, I'm not sure they know.
And everyone needs a spark plug.
Last year, Kira Leslie filled that role so well for NC State.
I don't know if that 3 shouldn't have come back to Destiny Harden on the pass to the corner.
All right. Miami on an 11-0 run, and she's done the bulk of the damage there. That is the 16th turnover by NC State. They average under 14 for the season. And we still have over a quarter to play. Over 4 minutes without a point for the 10th ranked team in the country. Harden. Under a minute now in quarter number 3. Miami with its largest lead of the game at 8. Harden wants some more. Not a bad time.
He checked in.
Haven't been many points in transition out there for NC State. Miami has really hustled back, quickly taken away any of those opportunities. Jada Boyd is fouled. Jameer Houston picking up her 2nd personal.
I think Jada Boyd has the potential to be that player. She shows a lot of emotion when she plays, really fiery. She just went up to Lisa Canane after that possession and said, get it inside. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's a freshman. They do just that, and Canane, who had an open look off an inbounds in the first half, a little more contested this time, but she'll go to the free throw line.
So, you know, I'd love to see a huddle right here with NC State. You know, you go into the free throw line, huddle your team together like, guys, let's go. But every team's different, and so you just hope that the switch is flipped at some point. They can turn it up.
Well, Lisa said earlier today, we don't want those 2 losses that we're coming off of to define us. But what you also don't want to do is let a loss beat you twice or 3 times. And right now, it kind of feels that way for NC State. Nearly 5 minutes until that 1 point for NC State. They've been scoreless until that free throw. The last 4:52. Gray with the shot fake.
Nice job by NC State, only giving Miami 1 look.
Boyd desperately calling for it inside. Wants to take this shot over Harden. But Harden showing she could come up big on both ends. However, a travel called as she came down with it. So NC State will get it under the basket, 1.5 on the clock.
Because NC State is not shooting well from three, only 4 3-pointers, shooting 25%. That's half of their average in 3-pointers made so far per game. Miami's collapsing in defensively.
Kanane falling down as she got that, still tried to take the shot, but right now, this game on their home floor, it belongs to the underdogs, the Miami Hurricanes, on an 11-1 run. They lead 10th ranked NC State by 7 as we get ready for quarter number 4. Scary moment for NC State and Elisa Kanane on that last inbounds play. Watch her here as she curls around, just stumbles, and in attempting to get the shot off, does not really brace herself for contact. May have hit her head there as she went to the floor, and then she did walk off to get checked. Now, the good news is she has come back to the bench for NC State, so we'll see how much of a factor she can be.
She is on the bench. You could see her talking to assistant coach Aaron Bath, and she just says, my head, but I couldn't understand the first part of that. You just hope she is okay because NC State needs her in this final quarter of the game.
Kanane on all of the late season watch lists for the major awards, the Wade Trophy, the Naismith Trophy, the Wooden Award.
She told us today that she has got to embrace the physicality, and that is Kayla Jones' first basket of the game after going 0 for 6 through 3 quarters.
And she's coming off 2 straight games where she tied a career high with 17 points in each of those. Lisa Kanane being forced into the role of spectator, at least at the moment. One of the best in the ACC. Some of her numbers have dipped here over the last few games, but still amongst the leaders in scoring, leader in rebounding.
And no question, everything NC State does centers around her because she draws the defensive attention. Her rebounding gets them going in transition. She can contest shots on the interior. Very important to what they do. So this is a smaller lineup now out on the floor, less experience for NC State.
Hobby lost it, and then Miami just waiting for that whistle. Brianna Jackson dove down to get it, and Jada Boyd managed to at least create the jump ball out of it. 18 turnovers for NC State. But on the floor right now for the Wolfpack, that smaller, more athletic lineup you talked about with both Jones and Boyd on the floor. And this is a group that has made some positive impact. Think about that last game against Georgia Tech. They were a big part of the run that got NC State back into it. Can they do it again here? Now down just 5. At some point, right, you have to forget that you're the favored team. You have to forget that you should be winning here, and you just have to go out and get to the business of actually winning and playing the way you want to play.
Absolutely. And it starts with making good decisions on the offensive end. You got to move the ball and force Miami to play a little bit deeper into the clock and out of position, and that's good offense, but Koenig still can't find a stroke.
It's almost unfathomable watching her, knowing that she's one of the best three-point shooters in NC State history. She ranked 2nd all-time in three-pointers made in her career. She broke the single-season record the last 2 seasons, set it herself 2 years ago, broke it last year with over 90 three-pointers made. Has made 61 this season. Harden. Jackson took the last shot. You got a feeling with Canaan out of there, Jackson thinking she could make some hay, but not been able to do that. Brown Turner can, though.
The focus of Brown Turner has been the best consistency NC State has had from start to finish in this one so far. Freshman is dialed and locked in.
Harden had that hot streak, but has missed her last few attempts.
Let's see where NC State goes for their offense with no Canaan. You know what they're capable of with Boyd. Koenig has missed a couple. Not sure that's the highest percentage shot you could really get.
Kayla Jones tried to tie that ball up, and Jackson was not having any of it.
Jackson has become quite the enforcer.
She has.
I mean, every game she gets some blocks, she gets some rebounds, she gets some steals. I mean, defensively, her activity is up there with the best in this league.
And she knows how to step it up against these ranked teams, too. Had her best game against 8th-ranked Florida State. 14 points, 10 rebounds. That was early in January for her first double-double. Miami's cooled off a little bit here to start the fourth quarter. Banks forced into a shot late in the shot clock.
Some nice defensive possessions for NC State here in recent minutes. Can they build on it?
Jones. Boyd got the rebound, and she was fouled. Foul on the floor against Gray. That is the 15th foul, though. Excuse me, just third of this quarter for Miami. Into a bit of a lull here, haven't we? Both teams having some trouble. Nakia Gray comes away with it, races down the floor, and she'll be shooting free throws.
When we look back on this run by Miami here in the second half, two things stand out. Harden's ability to create her own offense, and Miami picking up the pace from defense to offense and getting to the free throw line. They had shot 2 total free throws in the first half. And this looks like attempt number 9, I believe, for the Canes.
Tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll have the next Bald Men on Campus, our weekend studio basketball show where we preview the weekend's ACC slate of games and have the latest news from around the conference. The Follically Challenge. Jay Billis, LaFonso Ellis, and Seth Greenberg hosts. That is a good sign for NC State that Elisa Canaan able to come back into this game. I was going to say, Bald Men on Campus, it's like the opposite of the show that we would have.
You know, I know they're jealous of all of our curls right now. If they could just see how we're filling out the frame on camera. No baldness going on over here.
No, girls with the curls.
We are all curls.
Don't Turner could join our club, I think.
2 seconds, I thought, maybe on Boyd. She was camping out for a while in there.
They have gotten bailed out that the kick was called first. Who's shouting from the Miami bench vicinity would tell me that Katie Meyer agrees with your take on that.
Yep, she might have thought it was 3 seconds there.
Jones, and all ball as Brianna Jackson still held in those hands sky high up in the air. She's innocent. She was that time. Miami will take over. Mason. Offensive rebound will help the Hurricanes in this possession.
Katie Meyer's really having to script these possessions. Miami has not gotten into a flow offensively, and you don't want to take anything away from NC State, but got to know where to go to get your points. Marshall you haven't called that name in a while.
She tries to get the assist this time around. Mason can't help her out. Nearly gets it back. Instead, commits the foul. Jada Boyd keeps popping up in a lot of these 50-50 ball situations.
Man, she has a knack for it. Just knows how to be around the ball, and got those long arms, athletic, quick, can get to the ball. And most players take 2 steps, it takes her 1.
See if she can bring some of that late game magic that really got NC State back into it against Georgia Tech. On cue, she does. Boyd had 12 points the last game against the Yellow Jackets, 10 in the 4th quarter.
This was a play that was run for Aislinn Koenig, but on the switch out, Kelsey Marshall picks her up, and all of the eyes were on Aislinn. Meanwhile, Boyd takes it to the opposite block where there is no help coming off of those screens. And she is as athletic as they come.
The 6'2" freshman of Petersburg, Virginia, has 1 field goal. Before that last one, can't complete the 3-point play, so she has 4 points in the game. And it is a 3-point lead for Miami, under 5 to play. Boy, playing some good defense right here in front of us.
Allowing Mason to get back to the middle of the floor.
And Katie Meyer needs a timeout, wants to strategize and try to hang on to this lead. The NC State Wolfpack looking to avoid losing 3 games in a row, and they have struggled to score. The last time they were held under 50, well, it was the last time they played here. Told you that Miami has had NC State's number here at the Watsco Center. But you think about some real concern brewing now for NC State and Westmore, especially considering what they've got coming up.
I mean, look at this schedule. Duke is a team that has found their confidence. They're a different team than they were a month ago in the NCAA tournament. I mean, just playing well on both ends of the floor. Then you've got Syracuse that's won 5 in a row, including big win over Louisville. And then you got Virginia. I mean, there's just no nights off in this league with this schedule. It's not favorable for NC State trying to get on track.
Got the 2 hottest teams in the league coming up next. Duke and Syracuse both on 5-game winning streaks. Both of those games are at home in Raleigh, and all of a sudden the defense just fell away there for Koenig, who makes this a 1-point game. Miami has missed their last 10. Still hanging precariously now onto a 1-point lead over the Wolfpack.
This is a point in the game. If you're Miami, you have to screen better. You have to be more intentional about your execution. If NC State hits a shot, they get back and get to set up their defense.
Ten points in the game for Koenig. Turner, the leading scorer for NC State. She has 16, 2 off her career high. Gray has not been able to hit consistently in this one. She has 11.
She hesitated a little bit on that one as well. I couldn't tell if that was a long 2 or she actually got behind the 3. Just an awkward shot altogether.
The Wolfpack now with a chance to take the lead. Green calling for it inside. Boyd, though, will give NC State its first lead since the 3rd quarter when the score was 31-28.
Sometimes it's the freshmen that don't feel the pressure of their waning games of their careers like a senior may be, or haven't been the focal point of the defense all year long. They are playing loose. Brown, Turner, and Boyd.
Keep in mind, too, that NC State is in the bonus. So any foul on the floor, they're going to be shooting, and they're one of the best free throw shooting teams in the ACC.
A really nice help defense by Lisa Kinane right there. She steps up and forces Gray to make an errant pass.
as well as Miami played on that run that Harden was such a big part of. It really was just almost an isolated spurt, and then they've struggled since then. Gray, who picked up an offensive foul 2 minutes ago, now has her 3rd personal.
And this is what you talked about a moment ago, Jen, is NC State is in the bonus. So what does Koenig do? Puts it on the deck, takes some contact, and she'll get free throws.
In conference play, NC State leading the league from the free throw line. As a team, they shoot over 77% from the line. Koenig, 73%, but misses that one. What will this game be for NC State? Will it be a game that they've been ugly most of it, but somehow finds a way to get them back on track? Or will it continue a very disastrous stretch for the 10th ranked team in the country?
And a frustrated Micaiah Gray is going to pick up a technical foul call right here, jarring at the officials on her way back down, thought she got fouled.
And that does count in her tally. So that's 4 fouls on Gray and a couple of free throws for Kanane.
You'll see right after this shot goes up, she's right next to the official. She's going to turn and have a word right there. Not the most vocal player at all in general.
Yeah, that's true.
On any normal or given day, but obviously frustrated and voicing that.
NC State has not been as lethal from the free throw line as I just told you they have been for much of the conference season in particular. 6 of 11 from the line tonight.
And that's costly for Micaiah Gray. I mean, this team needs her on the floor. They need her experience. They need her leadership. And look at Boyd.
Couple of freshmen for both teams there. It was Jackson for Miami and then Boyd for NC State. Westmore, Talon, Brown, Turner, just goal. The shot clock's running down. Kanane will take it. Gets the friendly roll.
Oh, Boyd. Making something out of nothing there for NC State. And boy, have they stepped up their game here in this 4th quarter.
NC State up 5 as Miami has gone ice cold. Just over 2 minutes to play in Miami. The Hurricanes over 10 minutes without a field goal. Kelsey Marshall can't change it. Wolfpack have gone on a 10-0 run to take this 5-point lead.
This has been quite a gut check for both of these teams. Low scoring game. NC State, the right plays at the right time has got an advantage for now, but plenty left in this for Miami.
Fresh off a timeout. Kelsey Marshall took a 3 on their first possession out of that timeout.
Without Gray on the floor, Banks has to help her team be a leader. How about Jackson?
What, the freshman's been calling for the basketball. She didn't care that Kanane was back in the game defensively. Breaks Miami out of that drought, makes it a 3-point, 1-possession game. Kanane, gotta hit that. Maybe just enough pressure and distraction from a couple of Miami players flying through. Banks is fouled. Miami not yet shooting free throws as NC State 1 foul still until they reach their 5th of this quarter. That would put Miami on the line.
And I like that option from Miami. A little dribble weave, try to get the ball to the paint in whatever way you can. That's going to create some offense.
Harden. That is trying to see which way it was called.
Boyd, it looks like.
Was blocked initially, a lot of contact, and it is indeed on Boyd defensively.
I like this decision, and Boyd absolutely started to take a fall before there was true contact there. She had not established legal defensive position, had not quite gotten there, got her shoulders squared, so was not going to be able to take a charge in that situation, and Harden will get to the free throw line.
Miami 6 of 10 from the free throw line tonight. Harden hitting every bit of the rim, but it does go in.
So both teams in the bonus. Miami with 2 timeouts, NC State with 3.
Both free throws good. 1 point now, the difference. NC State calls the timeout, so Westmore and the Wolfpack can advance the basketball. What do you look for here if you're NC State?
Well, I think you talk about how to get the ball in bounds first, because I expect Miami to show some pressure and to try to get a steal. They've been really good at that in ACC play, using their quickness. So making hard cuts, coming back to the basketball. And this is a 1-point game right now, and you've got at least 2 possessions left. Even if you run out the clock, Miami's going to get it back. So if you're NC State, you need to get a good look at the rim. And when you think about what has worked in the last few moments, it's been isolation for Boyd. It's been cutting by Kanane. It's been Brown-Turner. But first, you got to get the ball in here.
This game means an awful lot to both of these teams. For NC State, just trying to get their mojo back a little bit. They tried on that inbounds play. Kanane reached up high for the rebound and was fouled.
I mean, nice play call here by Westmore. Jones almost got it to go on this backside. Just misses it, but the important part is that Kanane, right place at the right time.
So that puts one of the ACC's best at the free throw line. Kanane for the season, an 80% free throw shooter. 5 of 8 tonight from the line.
And because NC State was quick with that execution, they will now have an opportunity. Regardless of how much time Miami runs out on this clock, there'll still be 6.6 left. So rather smart call by Westmore to pretty much get a 2-for-1.
And NC State, if a rebound does pop out, they've been very good winning the battle of the boards quite handily tonight over Miami. 45-33 for the game. So Katie Meyer and Miami now drawing up what they hope will be a successful play. Do you think they look for 3 here?
I think you go through Micaiah Gray. I don't know if she has to be the player to score it. Harden is another one that you would look to maybe set up a shot for. Kelsey Marshall has not looked like herself in the last few moments, but you get a shot for Harden, you put yourself in position to rebound it. And no, you don't have to go for a 3. You can extend the game. You take the best shot, and if you miss, you can always foul and try to get a possession back.
Miami 0 of 4 from 3 in this quarter. 7 of 24 for the game. Harden calling for it inside. Goes out of bounds off of NC State, so it'll stay with Miami, but they can look at this in the final 2 minutes of the game to make sure they get the call correct in terms of possession. The initial call was that it would be Miami basketball.
This is good because now Katie Meyer will have a chance to address her team. And obviously you'll want to know who the ball's going to. Looks like it goes off of Harden's got it.
Maybe the knee.
Oh.
See if it goes off Kayla Jones' knee or Harden's fingertips.
That looks like it was off Harden.
Call on the floor was that it was off of NC State, that it would stay with Miami.
That looked like it was off of Miami. I mean, unless there's a...
Do you think it's definitive enough to overturn it, though?
I think it is. I mean, Harden's hand touched the ball. I didn't even see contact with Jones's knee on that.
Well, these are the questions that our referees are asking as they look back on the video as well. Miami trailing NC State by 3. 10th ranked Wolfpack have struggled mightily in this game tonight. They're trying to figure out a way to come out of here with a win.
I mean, to me, see right here, she gets it. And then she's able to put the ball on the floor past the angle of Jones' knee. I mean, even if it touches Jones' knee right there, then her hand was still on the ball. Unless you see something different, Jen, I don't know. You've got the glasses on.
No, you know what? It's funny because I feel like this angle we're watching here makes it look like it goes off Jones's knee because of the way the ball bounces off of it. But that other angle that we saw from the baseline makes it look like it actually doesn't touch her knee. You can't see that from where we are here. So that's a tough call, I think. Looks... I've got to bring all 3 officials in to look at the video now. Miami trying to pull the upset. Katie Meyer saying at shoot-around today, I smell an upset. And her team is right there in position to potentially do that, but this could very much change their game plan in terms of how they go about things if this possession does turn over to NC State. NC State, meanwhile, LaChina, even if they do get the win here, still has quite a bit of work to do to get back to playing the basketball they were playing earlier in the season.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to gut out a win to get your confidence back, get over the hump. And so if you're NC State, you're hoping that this is that type of win, you know, that you just show that you could win ugly and that we're okay. A lot of positives to take back defensively down the stretch and how they've played.
So looks like the video review portion of this decision is over. Now our 3 officials, Karen Priato, Thomas Danaher, Mark Resch, consulting, and they are going to stay with their original call and keep it with Miami.
Well, since you and I might have been split, maybe they were split.
And you know, it took so long to look at that, and being that the call on the floor was with Miami, that's what they wound up going with.
Something.
So 24 seconds. Sorry, LaChina. Marshall has an open look. Hits it! Tie ball game. How about that turn of events? A ball out of bounds that could potentially have gone and given possession to NC State up 3, and then Kelsey Marshall.
Miami had a lot of time to think about what they wanted to run here. And if it were me, I would not have run into Marshall with what we had seen from her this second half. But she comes off of a screen here by Jackson. Give her some credit. And Brown Turner closes out, but not early enough. Right here, she gets caught on the screen. And Marshall. Miami, boy, what a night here in Coral Gables.
Kelsey Marshall playing with that tape on her right fingers. She broke one of those fingers on her right hand, her shooting hand, against Georgia Tech on January 30th. She went 1 for 9 the next 2 games. Then she told us she had the splint taken off, and it was just tape. And what did she do? She came out, scored a career-high 25 at Virginia. Cooled off a little bit, had 13 in the last game, but hits an absolutely huge 3. And now, here we go, 21.8 seconds left. Tie game, NC State ball.
NC State can play for the final shot here. Shot clock is off.
Koenig, only one to touch the ball so far. Now Boyd swings around to Jones. Brown Turner will take the shot from the baseline and hit it. What a shot from the freshman. Timeout, Miami. Now finds themselves trailing again. Under 3 seconds to play, down 2.
Ice cold. The freshman, good ball movement, using both sides of the floor, and then on the drive with a smaller defender. Perfect matchup for Brown Turner, who has been focused and fearless all night. Give it to the freshman. That's a huge shot, Jen.
Ties her career high with 18 points. She's 7 of 11 from the floor, 4 of 6 from 3, but no bucket bigger than that one right there. So 2.9 seconds left. Miami has used its final timeout to try to figure out what they have left in the can. And for NC State, a game that just now saw them reach the 50-point mark, a team that averages nearly 73 points per game on the season. It's not been their kind of night, but they could get that much needed win.
It's all about staying alive. It's about making plays when you need to, even on the night when it's not the prettiest. But I'll tell you, this will be a night for the freshmen to remember. Boyd and Brown Turner, the future of this program beyond this year. Obviously, Kanane only a sophomore, but I've been so impressed with those two.
Marshall's moment stolen after she had it a moment ago. Let's see if Miami can find something. A high pass for Gray will make it difficult. She does not get it off in time. NC State escapes with a 2-point win.
Both of these teams left it all out on the floor. Micaiah Gray was defended well here. You see the pass off of the screen. Not a great screen by Harden to get Gray open, though you see what they were trying to accomplish, but the help also with Koenig covered up the shot for Gray, and NC State stops the losing skid at 2 and gets a much-needed win on the road.
Now for tonight's player of the game, brought to you by Zaxby's. You know who it is. Jakia Brown Turner for NC State had the game-winning bucket and ties her career high with 18. Close one in Coral Gables as Wes Moore wins here for the first time. Miami had won 7 straight against NC State on their home floor. That streak is snapped. So for LaChina Robinson, our whole crew, I'm Jen Hildreth saying so long from Coral Gables. Now it is up to the ladies in the studio. Kelsey Riggs, Monica McNutt, Kelly Gramlich, taking you away with all ACC.
Jen and LaChina, thanks, guys. NC State able to survive in advance, get back on track. It had been since 2017, rather, 2018, since they had lost 3 straight. They keep it from happening with a win tonight on the road at Miami. Kelly, when you look at what they did down the stretch there, it was close, and they're able to get it done thanks to the freshmen.
That's just a gritty, gutsy win for NC State in a must-win situation when you need it more than anything to preserve a top 3 seed and preserve hosting in the NCAA tournament. Jakia Brown Turner, who I think is the freshman of the year in the ACC, played well throughout that entire game, really gave NC State life when they didn't have any throughout the game. And then what a shot to knock that down in that moment and to not be afraid of the big moment as a freshman, incredible.
You heard LaChina Robinson talk about it down the stretch of the game, that sometimes freshmen are not playing with some of the weight and the pressure of the upperclassmen whose careers are winding down, so on and so forth. I don't care what anybody says. Jakia Brown-Turner with the ballsy bucket in a big-time moment from her squad. It speaks to the tremendous job that Wes Moore has done to empower his freshmen and the rest of that team, because you're absolutely right. We're accustomed to seeing someone like Ace Koenig really leading the ship, or even Alyssa Cunane having a signature game. That wasn't the case tonight, but they still managed to win. And so being able to win ugly is something that causes you to tip your hat to them.
And a tough one for Miami. If you flip it to the other side, you know, this is a team that's had bad injury luck and they've struggled throughout the season. And to lose a game like that, where they really dominated for most of that game. They were really good. I thought the Micaiah Gray technical was a big turning point in that game. Micaiah Gray is normally very poised, very composed. She said something to the ref. I don't know what it was, but the ref did not like it, teed her up, and I thought that was a big turning point for NC State.
For sure. On the flip side of that, though, you gotta defend in the moments. You gotta know your scouting report. Even if Jakia Brown-Turner, for whatever reason, we're gonna let her penetrate left baseline and pull up, not anymore. Not if she already has 16 points in the ball game.
Also, make her go right.
You gotta find it. You gotta, for that matter,
gotta make her go right.
Like, I mean, this was just great. She's got, I want to say she's listed at 6'1", so she's got a height advantage over, I believe Micaiah Gray was defending her on that play. And then I'll say this, Kelsey and Kelly, because we've seen through the course of the ACC, Boston College gave us one, Syracuse gave us one. We've seen teams execute with that minute amount of time on the clock. I didn't think that Miami executed at all. I don't know if they were trying to get a lob and free Kelsey Marshall for a potential three. Credit NC State for defending that and busting up that potential play.
They did get Kelsey Marshall that three on the previous play, which was a great play. And Kelsey Marshall hit the big three against Clemson a couple weeks ago. That was the game winner there. So she kind of did it again, but it wasn't enough. Left too much time for NC State.
Well, we talked about the freshman, Jakia Brown-Turner, but what about Alyssa Cunane, and what did you like about what you saw from her 15 points tonight?
Well, you know, she was better, and she hit her head. She had a little bit of an injury. She came back in. She fought through it. Still wasn't great. Still isn't as good as she has been, but didn't rely on the free throw line as much. And, you know, she had a little injury bug in this game. I don't know how healthy she was after she went out, but at least it was a better game than previous ones. 13
points, 6 assists, 5 of 8 from the free throw line. I think what this game exposed to me is I want to see Cunane become a better passer. She's got to be able to pass that ball from her position on the block, because she had teammates cutting at points. And I think in her head, she was so focused on getting the ball to the rim and scoring that she missed out on opportunities to get assists.
We've got much more to talk about with this game and so many others, all ACC coming your way right here on ACC Network at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Guess what? Just a few seconds away. Welcome into All ACC, and NC State, welcome back to the win column. Jakia Brown-Turner, the freshman, with the clutch game-winning shot with less than 3 seconds left. Hello and welcome into All ACC alongside Kelly Gramlich and Monica McNutt. I'm Kelsey Riggs. You guys, that was such an exciting game there at the end. NC State comes into this one on a 2-game losing streak. Miami coming off a win. And Monica, it just seemed like this team fought back, was able to show some grit and get it done at the end.
I was impressed with NC State today. I think at halftime of that game, I voiced my opinion. This was not a performance that we're accustomed to seeing from the Wolfpack. And quite honestly, it was a bad look against a struggling Miami squad. However, I am a firm believer in just win, find a way, and they did that tonight, led by the 18 points and 6 rebounds of one of their outstanding freshmen in Jakia Brown-Turner.
Jakia Brown-Turner was excellent. They don't win that game without her.
Absolutely
There's
not.
no doubt in my mind, and sometimes you have to rely on your freshmen to win games in the ACC. That's why, to me, she's the ACC Rookie of the Year at this point, because she's been called upon for a team that has played so well, one of the best teams in the ACC, and she has been a key cog for them, been a starter. I also thought Jada Boyd, who's also a freshman, came off the bench, had some big plays for them. So it was all about the freshmen, really, tonight for NC State.
What does it say about this team? You've got Kai Crutchfield, who wasn't able to find the basket today. She was 0 of 5 from the field. And that they have players that are still stepping up. You know, Alyssa Cunane still trying to get back into her groove. She finished with 15, but tonight it was Jakia Brown-Turner.
Well, we've talked about the depth for NC State all along. That's something they have that other teams just don't. When you look at some other teams that might not have, they can't go 8, 9 deep. NC State can. Now, you don't know who's going to beat you on a given night. Kunane generally has been their go-to player, but she has struggled recently. And so you got to give a lot of credit to these younger players who have stepped up. And even Crutchfield and Koenig, they've struggled a bit lately, and that's been an issue. That's something NC State has to figure out. This wasn't a pretty win. There's not a lot of pretty stuff to talk about, but as you said, Monica, you just got to win.
I will say that I'm a little bit concerned about the depth of their depth, if that makes sense. I think when they start getting into 6, 7, 8, I'm just wondering, what are we starting to sacrifice, whether it be scoring or size or the ability to rebound? And so if they're going to go that deep as we get into the tournament, they've got to be able to maintain a level of consistency when those players are out there on the floor.
On the other side of this, with Miami, this is a team that we would be talking about very differently had that last shot for Jakia not gone in, Monica.
I mean, Miami fought, and you're right, Kelly. That is absolutely a heartbreaker for this squad. I mean, you look at the play of Kelsey Marshall, Micaiah Gray, those guards. Even Destiny Harden tonight had a signature performance in this basketball game, and so you credit Katie Meyer for having her team prepared to protect their home court. Unfortunately, I mean, Jakia Brown-Turner had 16 at that point. Like, you can't let the ball get back to her. I mean, you got to defend.
Yeah, and Miami plays a lot better at home. We've talked about that. They are a better team at home. Because they're young, they can't figure out how to win on the road. They don't have Mom Premier, and they're struggling without their key player.
Miami 11-6 now at home after this loss. NC State, meanwhile, back on track with the win.